so let's get into the whole race thing. I feel like I have enough energy now to really make a race recap and kind of go over all the details. So I guess just jumping into it, going into the race, I was nervous. I just really didn't know if I would be able to complete this. The longest distance I had covered up until this point was 31 miles, so a lot more miles. That's like a third of, it's not even quite a third of this race. So I was nervous of if I could do it. I just didn't know what to expect. Going into it, I had just kind of like one promise to myself, and that is I would not quit on myself. So like if there's some type of serious injury or something like that, it is what it is. Or if I don't make the distance in the cutoff time, which is 32 hours, then like I was going to be okay with that. I just was not going to willfully quit because it felt too hard for me. That was a promise I had going into it to myself. So it starts at 6 a.m. Everyone lines up, maybe like, I don't know exactly how many, like maybe 30 people, something like that. And national anthem goes, clock hits 6, and then we're off. And it's dark at 6 a.m. So I started running with a with a headlamp, and starting off is obviously just the weirdest feeling ever, because in my mind I'm just like, well, I feel great, like I'm so energized, like I got this. And then at the same time it's like, well, you got 99 more miles to go, so like maybe let's not get too crazy here. And like 4.5 miles in. So currently 4 miles in, it's starting to get daylight out and trail mix time. I feel really good right now. Just been pacing myself well, walking hills. Only 96 more miles to go. Nice. I'm feeling really good. The sun's starting to come up. It's a little bit more daylight. I'm keeping my pace. I feel like I'm keeping my pace pretty slow. Like I'm not going fast at all. I'm just one foot in front of the other, real slow, real careful, and feel good about my pace. I'm trying to keep on top of my nutrition and hydration. So I think I was eating trail mix to start off with. I made my own trail mix with like a bunch of different nuts. I put a ton of cranberries and a ton of M&Ms in, just for my carbohydrate intake, because it needs to be something that I enjoy eating, because like after a certain amount of miles, like my stomach just starts getting real messed up and food starts looking real disgusting. So it needed to be something that I liked the taste of, something that like triggered my brain to be like, eat more of this. So the M&Ms were, and the cranberries were in there, that sweetness to make me want to eat it. So I start off with that. Feel real good. Like I remember having a thought at like mile 4.5, and just thinking like, man, this is awesome. Feel good. It's just like 96 more miles to go. This isn't bad. Feeling real good right now. The first 5 miles of the race is over some trails. It's a little bit rolling, a couple hills, but nothing like super crazy. And then after that first 5 miles, then you hit from like mile 5 to, I'm gonna say like 13, maybe 14. It's becomes like a flat towpath, so it's just flat crushed gravel, real easy. So I try to keep a pretty decent pace. I was probably doing like a 10-minute mile, something around there, for most of that towpath. And then after that towpath, then you get into this like the actual trail part, like the hard trail part, and that lasts from mile 13, let's say, to mile 25 and a half. So it's probably about a 12-mile stretch of like actual trail with a good amount of elevation change. So right now, shouldn't be making this video right now, but it's got a significant hill. You can kind of see behind me. Oh, maybe not. But it goes on pretty long, fairly steep. And that is what the whole loop consists of. So it's like a 25-mile loop that's actually like 25 and a half, maybe 26 miles. Because it's really hard to get a trail race to be exactly 100 miles. It's just too difficult, just because of the nature of trails. So usually it ends up being like a little bit more than the actual 100. So I think the total distance probably came out to at least 102, maybe 104, something like that. So the towpath feels good. Keep that solid pace, keep my hydration up, my nutrition, and get into the actual hill part. And everything is like good. Like it's nice to just exert myself at this point. However, I feel a little bit, it's kind of like this looming sense of how much I have to do. But overall, I'm just like really enjoying myself. Do some of the hills and the climbs and weave around all the stuff, cross the finish line to complete my first loop and, refill all my supplies, my water and stuff like that. And, I'm just kind of refilling everything. And I think I changed socks at this point. I'm pretty sure I did. Changed socks. And as I'm changing my socks, getting ready to go back out for my second loop, I'm just like kind of overwhelmed by this feeling of like, man, like the first loop felt good. It really did, but my knees were already hurting, my hips were hurting. I already could just feel just that general ache of running, for that distance, because it pretty much is like a marathon. So like I already was feeling kind of beat up, and it was like a little discouraging because I was like, man, I don't think I should be feeling this beat up on the first loop. Like I'm a quarter of the way through, so like I was kind of hoping I wouldn't feel this beat up already. So I finished first loop, like 5 hours and 40 minutes. I think it was slightly longer than 25 miles. Felt pretty beat up towards the end of it. And then having the aid station there, a lot of people, trying to get you going a little bit more. Took a second to change my socks, refuel, drink some pickle juice. Hills. Feel a lot better now. Yeah. Like 73 miles ago? Not so bad. And I started feeling a little bit discouraged about just everything, of just like, man, I gotta go back out and do another one. So, I finally, got all my stuff together, got out, started going out on the second loop, and, took it easy on the first mile, and I put my headphones in. I have headphones with me. I put my headphones in and started listening to my favorite music artist, Seven Lions. I think it's like electronic music that just like it just like hits me right in my soul. It just you could say gets me in my feels, and just I don't know. It just really resonates with me a lot, just like emotionally. And I'm listening to the music as I'm running, and it just I don't even know how to describe it. It just starts to transform my mood, because I normally don't train with music intentionally because I think it's good just to mentally strengthen myself in that way. And then it makes that when I do introduce music, it kind of like hits harder because it's not something I'm used to. It can boost me up a little bit more. And I'm running, it's beautiful, like the whole course is beautiful, and I'm running this beautiful scenery, listening to Seven Lions. And I would just start thinking about all the reasons that I'm running this race, like why am I doing this, and just imagining myself like finishing and pushing through and all this. And as I'm thinking about all these things, it's just like I get hit with this, incredible wave of joy, because this is one of the things I love about long races is it starts to heighten everything. Like everything is super heightened. So like your highs are very high, your lows are very low, and you have to really dig deep to get through those real deep lows. But you also hit these highs that like you just don't get in everyday life. So like the joy and the gratitude that I'm out here and I'm able to do this and I'm partaking in this incredible experience, like this, it just skyrocketed me way up in combination with the music. And I just became so happy and so grateful. And I just started crying, just crying, crying tears of happiness, of just like so happy that I'm here, that I'm doing this, that I'm out here, I'm pushing myself. And I had to slow my pace down for a little while because it's just hard to run and cry at the same time. And so I kind of I don't know how long I cried. It was like a decent amount of time, right? You know, I was just having some tears and stuff. And that actually just completely shifted my focus. I felt so, like, once I got done crying, I just felt so dialed in, like, so just on point. It's like the power of mood, where like something I've really learned just for life in general, like feeling down and depressed, anything like that. Use these tools, whether it could be like music or, you know, I don't know, gratitude practice, whatever it is. These things are like supercharged. They're like little power boosts. Like if you're in a depressed, down state, and you just like kind of sludge through life, you can probably do it, but it's going to be super hard. What will actually help more is changing the physiology and the mindset of it. Because if you can do things that make you happy, it's just small little things, whether it's music, gratitude practice, whatever, these will boost happiness. It makes life just so much easier to get through because it's coming from a good mental state. And seeing that there actually are things that can be done to enhance it and pull us out of those deep, darker moments. So I feel like that was just a valuable lesson, that like feeling bad or depressed, like outside of like super chemical imbalances in the brain and stuff like that, there are methods that can be used to pull oneself out of that. It was very interesting, and just seeing how that transformed that second loop. Finished it in really good time. I was super happy, and even though it's not the best idea, I was trying to move a little bit fast because I thought if I can kind of knock out my first 3 loops in decent time, then you know that makes it, no matter how hard the fourth loop is, I can probably get through it. That's debatably a bad strategy, but it just was what I felt like I should go with at the point. So I finished my second loop, and I'm pretty worn out because I'm already I'm at my PR now. I've never run this far in my life, so I'm sitting at around 50 miles, and I'm starting to feel it. Like when I go through the aid station at the end of the loop, like start finish line, it's starting to become hard to really like do things that I want. Unfortunately, the aid station workers, like they are the best, most helpful people. Like I literally came in, and actually the winner from last year's race, the person who won that race last year, he was there helping out, and I like crossed the finish line. He's like, "Hey, what do you need?" And I, you know, I just said I need some water and like this type of food and stuff. And he fills up my water bottles, he fills up my pack, he gets me the food that I asked for, and I just have to just stand there and, you know, just focus on what I'm going to do next. He does all that for me, gives me my pack, put it on, gives me my food, you know, just incredibly helpful, amazing people. It just can't say enough good things about how awesome the people there are. And, you know, and at this point in my mind, I'm starting to think like, okay, like I'm at 50 miles, I'm at this halfway point, and I still feel pretty good. Like my body hurts, like 100% this hurts, but I feel good.
Right. So I am on my third lap of 4. Man, I think I'm sitting at, hard for me to do math at this point, to be honest. Like numbers, like I have a hard time completely understanding numbers. Like I'm trying to like do some like addition.
So I set out on the third loop, and like my confidence has definitely gone up. And I start, you know, I draw a lot of like inspiration from different people and different runners and different tactics that people use, because in a race this long, honestly, like at least for me, like I have to start employing some crazy tactics to make it through, because there's a lot of mental ups and downs. So there is some of this stuff is going to sound super weird, and I recognize that it's just like super weird, but it's just like you got to do some crazy stuff to get your mind through this. So one of the problems I was having was cramping in my quads, my hip flexors, and I should know this since I'm a fitness coach, but like the inside of your thigh, I think it's maybe the adductors, maybe it's either adductors or abductors. I think it's the adductors, but I was hitting like some pretty bad cramping in it, and it's just like you know, some shots of pickle juice helped a little bit, but like it's not really going away. You know, it can be kind of fended off for a little bit, but it just keeps coming back. So I just started making friends with the cramps, and I started just talking to them as I was run. So like my quads would start cramping up, and be like, "Oh, hey, quad cramp," like, you know, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, look, you know, do your thing. You do what you got to do. I'm just gonna keep running, keep pushing through. listen, you stay as long as you'd like. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. All right, cool. And I would just kind of do some version of that for whatever cramp I was feeling, which, sounded crazy, but, there wasn't really anyone around. There's usually a good amount of distance between, me and like the people in front and behind or whatever. So, I was just kind of talking to myself. And in general, I talked to myself a decent amount on this run, because what I also found is, there's always going to be some kind of chatter with the brain. And if I don't feel that chatter, my brain will start filling up that chatter with whatever it wants. So like, I'll be running and just be like, if I'm not filling up that blank space, then it will just start saying things like, man, this hurts. I'm feeling tired. I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. That's what it starts filling it up with. It's like this more negative stuff. But if I actively decide that I'm gonna fill this space with what I want, then I would just start going through things of like, all right, look, I got this. Like, think about the 50K that I did. You ran 31 miles, you made it through all this, and it was difficult terrain. And and I'm just becoming my own hype man. I'm just pumping myself up. I'm just like, no, you got this. Like, you are different. You are special. You can do this. And just trying to do everything I can to just really instill confidence in myself that like I can do this. Just keep pushing. And one of the things I noticed was there was almost two aspects of myself, almost like splitting a personality, where especially as I got deeper into the race, there would be like I would say like lower aspect part of me, which had all those negative thoughts, always like was just running discouraged, focused on the pain, and like kind of like just wanting out of the situation. And then there was like the higher version of me, which is like, I feel this pain, I feel all this, but I am strong, I am capable, I can do this. And there were like these two versions, and I started observing which one was taking control at what time. So like I would just kind of be going, I would be feeling real good, and then I just kind of observe like, well, okay, who's in control right now? And it would be like the lower aspect of me that is just kind of discouraged by the whole process. And I'd be like, no, like you can just be a part of me, and that's fine, but like right now I need this higher aspect of me to drive the vehicle. Like, well, this is what I need to get through this loop right now. So I would like mentally try to switch to this like higher version of me to take control, so that like I started feeling better. And it sounds funny, but like it just kind of worked. And maybe just like the intentionality of like, okay, I'm gonna embody this higher aspect of me that's like, really pushing through and can do this. Maybe that, I don't know, that just helped my brain switch gears. So if I started feeling down, I would try to just switch gears into this other thing. And actually, worked pretty well. So like, I'm into the third loop, feeling good, running pretty good still. And it's going to be getting dark soon. So, I have my headlamp with me, and all that, and I'm, running, and I get some cell phone reception in the one area I was in. So I look at the forecast, and it was rain starting at like 10 or 11. So I was like, because this was like a rookie mistake. I did not plan for rain. Even though I knew there was a chance of rain, I just kind of forgot about it. Didn't bring any rain gear with me. So I was like, man, this isn't like a great spot. And the rain was going to hit before I was done with the loop, that was for sure. And it was already like pretty much dark then at this point. So I'm running, and I finally make it to the next aid station, and I asked them for a trash bag. So fortunately I had an extra trash bag, and I rip a hole in the top and then a hole in the side. So I'm just going to wear this thing, like a jacket basically. So I rip the holes in it, have it in my pack, feel a little bit better about everything. Like, okay, well, at least I have something that's like waterproof that can kind of help a little bit, and, keep on running, keep moving. Full on dark at this point now. I got my headlamp on, starts sprinkling a little bit. It's like 10 p.m. or so, something like that. And I'm like, okay, like the sprinkles isn't bad. And it does this for a while. So I'm like, man, if this is all it does, like I can live with this. It's not super miserable. It's just like a light rain. And then like maybe like 11:30, it just starts pouring rain, like pouring rain. Like, if you've ever seen like a radar type thing, I would maybe say some of it was like dark green, to like, it was at least like a darkish green, not like super dark, but it was decent rain. It was pretty consistently heavy rain. Um, the trail sections helped a little bit because the trees kind of broke it up, so it's not just pouring down. But I put my trash bag on, which actually helped keep me warm as well. That was like important. You want to get hypothermia out there, so like had my trash bag on, and you know it worked, but it just kept raining and kept raining and kept raining, and it's just pouring rain still. So like several hours later, I come to the end of my third loop, and it's still pouring rain. So like, I think it was maybe a little after 2 a.m. that I finished my third loop, and it's just been raining hard for a while. So like everything is just muddy. I mean, super muddy. So like all of these super long hills, like that are trails, it's just like just mud, and like lower parts of the trails are like flooding. There's big puddles in them. It's really hard to maneuver up hills because it's so slick. And I have trail shoes, but the problem is my trail shoes fit a little bit tight. And at this point, my feet are very swollen. So even my normal shoes that fit like just beautifully, I have to keep like loosening my laces more and more to kind of accommodate the swelling. So I was like, man, I don't want to put on my trail shoes, like, and it's, like I kind of at least have some momentum going with the shoes I have on now. Like it's gonna be slippery, but I'm just gonna keep wearing them. And you know, I have to. I was parked pretty close to the start finish line, so you know, before I went out on my fourth loop, I had to go get something for my car. So I go to my car, I just get a few things, and it's just pouring rain down. And like, I don't know, I don't want to say I necessarily considered it heavily, but it was a thought that entered my mind where it's like, man, you can just get in your car right now and just close the door, get dry, you know, sleep for a little bit, you know, hydrate. Like, you can just, this all can be over right now if you just get in your car, close the door, done with it. And that like entered my mind at least. And I was just like, ah, like it'd be so beautiful to do that right now, but like I can't. I've, you know, 3 laps in. This is my final lap. I just can't do that. So, you know, I get all my stuff together and I start going out. And I would walk about the first mile of my fourth loop. Just at this point, my stomach's pretty messed up. So the only thing I can really eat, or I can't really eat, the only thing I can really have that has calories is like a can of Coke. So I've just been drinking cans of Coke, Sprite, like whatever. It's just some type of calories and carbs. And since it's liquid, it's about the only thing that like really is sitting okay. It doesn't make me want to vomit. So, you know, I'm drink my Coke and, you know, start trying to run a little bit. And I just feel just destroyed. Like honestly, like completely destroyed. And, you know, walking up the hills and stuff, I'm still keeping a decent pace. I feel beat up. I'm keeping like a good pace that I'm happy with overall. And I, you know, keep moving, get through the, you know, about half of the first loop, and the rain slows down significantly. Like it's not really raining much at this point, but everything's still just super wet, and puddles, and I'm running with my headlamp, you know, still, and it's really hard because just the headlamp, you know, isn't like super illuminating, so it's like it's kind of hard to see. In addition to everything being slick and wet, and I'm also like I'm almost falling asleep standing up. So like if you've ever been driving and really tired, where your eyes like close and you like go through a quick second of sleeping and you like wake up like that. I'm just doing that continually over and over again while I'm running, and it's just kind of like messing with my head, my eyes. I just can't like focus my eyes at this point, just I think from like sleep deprivation and just exertion. My depth perception is messed up, so like I can look with my headlamp, you know, at a trail, and I can't tell if it's at a steep incline or flat. Like I can't tell the difference. The only way I can kind of tell is just by how difficult it feels. Like, am I breathing really hard? Then this might be an incline. And if I'm not breathing super hard, then I'm like, okay, I think I'm on a flat section right now, but I can't like tell with my eyes. I hallucinated a little bit. Not like things were like just appearing in the trail that weren't there, but like I would look at something like at one point I looked off the edge of the trail and it looked like there was a guy kneeling with the camera with one of those long lenses. So like I thought, oh, races have photographers sometimes, so like maybe he's taking pictures of the runners. And like I almost waved to him, and then I did like a double take, and it was just like a log, just like a log that had like a little piece jutting out from it. I had stuff like that happen, like maybe 4 or 5 times probably, where I just like kind of hallucinated a little bit, which didn't like really bother me because it just would be something I have to double take, and then like, oh, that's not there. So I'm just trudging along, just really feeling it, and um, probably, I guess I kind of forgot to mention too, like around mile 80. So like I was 5 miles in the last loop, I get like it feels like a bad cramp on my left shin, like down the front of my left shin. It just feels like it's completely cramped, or like the muscle has just locked, like it's just cramping constantly. And I kind of tried to stretch it out a little bit and just wasn't going away. And I just gave up. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna have to run, like run with it, just cramping like this. And it just felt like that for the remainder, like the last 20 miles, it just felt like that. And like I'm over halfway now through the fourth loop, and I just hit the wall. Like it's called the wall for a reason. You just feel like you can't do anything. Like my body just isn't responding anymore. Like I was beginning to think something was wrong with me. Because I maybe have 10 miles left at this point, but it's just like I have to run for a little bit, and I'm just like exerting all of my willpower that I can. Just like gotta keep going, gotta keep going, gotta keep going. I'm just like forcing myself to just like slowly jog forward, and it's then I'll have to like stop and walk for a little bit, and I make myself jog for a little bit longer, and just like the whole time fighting like this voice is like, just stop, just rest for a while, because I just know I can't just stop. I need to keep moving or my body's gonna start locking up. And I get to, I think I'm within 5 miles of, maybe like 6 miles of the finish line, and and then the wall just becomes doubly worse. I just am like, at this point I can walk a few steps and I start getting out of breath. Like just the act of walking, it feels like I'm sprinting, and I almost thought there might be something wrong with me, just like starting to get really unreasonable in my mind, and I just couldn't regulate my emotions. I was like, man, I don't know if something's like seriously wrong with me, because like I would try to take a breath in, and it just like it felt like I was breathing through a straw, kind of like I couldn't get a full breath in. It just was super unsatisfying. It was like someone was keeping me from breathing in completely, and I was just completely just out of breath from walking. And I would like sit on the side of the trail for a little bit, try to like get my breath back and drink some water, but my mouth was dry. No matter what I drank, it just felt continually dry. And I'm just trudging along so slow at this point. I mean, it just so slow. Like I'm walking 25, maybe 30-minute mile. Like I think I hit a 30-minute mile at one point, and that was like me just like trying to push myself as hard as I could get, like trying to move my body as much as I could, and just like there comes a point where mind over matter doesn't work, and your body just starts like no, we're done, stop. And I was just at this point, but I still had like 5 more miles to go, and I was like, man, I don't know if I keep going this slow, like I might not make the cutoff time, because I'm at like a good time right now. I'm making good time, but I'm like, man, if I'm just doing these insane minute miles, like even, and towards the end I was like, man, I might even take an hour to do a mile if I keep this up. Like I might have to crawl at this point. And I'm just really struggling. And a woman comes running behind me. Well, running, she's like, power hiking kind of at this point. She was doing the 50-miler. So, she's been through all the mud and the rain and stuff like that. And it was like for sure hurting, to some extent, like she's for sure hurting. And she's like, hey, you all right? I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's just kind of like sorta, not really, but like sorta. And she's like, do you have a pacer or anything? I'm like, no, it's just me out here. And like a pacer is like usually someone who's not actually running the race, but is like running with a runner to like just help keep them moving, like a friend or something. Um, so she's like, hey, like, what's, how are you feeling and everything? I'm like, yeah, not great. And she actually slows down and she starts walking with me for a little bit. She's like, yeah, well, because I wanted to get to the next aid station and just like take a quick nap. I thought that might recharge me a little bit. So she's like, hey, just follow me, like try to keep up with me and we'll get to that next aid station. And she, I can't even really talk at this point. Like I can't speak. And so she's just kind of like talking, filling the air, like lightening the mood, offering some words of encouragement. And that's one of the like coolest moments just about like the trail running community, the ultra community, that it's one of those things that like I just won't forget probably ever. Of just someone who like she was hurting for sure. She wanted to finish, but she's like, oh, let me slow down for a second, help this person out because they seem to be struggling really bad. She didn't know me at all. Just like a super kind thing to do. She stuck with me for a while, got me fairly close to the aid station, then kind of like went off, did her own thing. But so I finally got to get to the aid station, and I'm just like done, just wrecked completely. And I think I eat a little bit, I forget what, and then drink some water, maybe drink some soda. And I asked some of the aid station workers, like, hey, I'm gonna go over there and like try to take a nap real quick. Can you just yell at me in like 15 minutes if I'm not up? She's like, yeah, sure. So I go over, I just sit down and I just like put my hands on my knees and then I put my head down on it. I'm just so exhausted, but I can't sleep, which is like the real kicker. Like I just want to sleep, but I can't. So I just keep my eyes closed for about 10 minutes. I was like, well, that's about as much as you're gonna get. So like, let's just go. So I get up, start moving forward again, and I'm just walking slow, just like I just feel so destroyed at this point. And I start making my way. And I mean, I'm just doing like 25, probably 30-minute miles, like closer to 30-minute miles at this point, and it's just taken forever. So like the last 3 miles has taken me like an hour, instead of like 15 minutes at most. It's like taking me an hour. Like this is how slow that I'm moving, and it's like this is my top gear. I can't go faster. And move through all those miles, and I'm just drudging along, just hurting so much, and get towards the end. And like right at the end, there is a bunch of just gnarly hills, like really steep, long, winding hills. They're muddy. And I don't quite remember. I just remember I would go up a really steep hill, and then you get to a parking lot that's really close to the finish line. So every hill I would get on, I would think like, this is the one that takes me up to the parking lot. I'm almost there. And I would get to the top of this hill, and it just goes right back down again. And so I will go down the hill, and the trail goes back up the hill. Like, this is the one, and then it goes back down the trail. And I just probably went up and down these like really long, rough hills for 5-6 times. I had another guy that was kind of walking with me too, that he was doing the 100, just feeling real beat up. So we just kind of slowly made our way up and down these muddy hills of just like felt never ending. It felt like it was never going to end. And then finally, get to the top. And like this whole time, I'm just going over. I had a mantra for this race. It was by a man named David Goggins. He's a ultra runner, someone like I look to for inspiration. And he has a quote: "Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done." And I just repeated that to myself. I don't know how many times in the last 5 miles and over the course of the entire race, but it was like countless times of just don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. I just kept saying that to myself over and over and over again. I finally get to the last climb, get up into the parking lot. At this point, I'm within like a half mile of the finish line. Me and this other dude, I mean, we're walking, and we're just both limping our way. Then we limp our way, down this gravel road, down a hill, turn the corner. Finish line is gonna be like right there. People, some people cheering, ringing bells and stuff like that. And all my other races, I had energy to start running, to cross the finish line. Even this, like with people cheering, like, yeah, you did it. Like I was like, I can't run. I literally cannot run. So me and this dude just limped across the finish line. They gave us our medals and stuff. And it's just like I just go sit down to process everything. And, it was really amazing experience, just like super amazing. And I'm just kind of soaking it in the grass. And eventually, I make my way to my car. I just took a nap for a while, drove home. But all in all, like it was a wild experience. I didn't know that. I didn't really know that I could do that. Honestly, I kind of thought there was a chance I could do it, but now I know that like this is something that I can do. And the crazy thing about it is, like, I wasn't able to train that much for it. I'm not like genetically gifted in any way. I could say that. I'm just like I'm not some genetic freak or anything. I'm just like pretty normal. And what it really showed me was that we all are so much more powerful than we think. And I feel like it's easy maybe for someone to look and like, well, I run a lot, and maybe I'm a fitness coach, like whatever. But I'm telling you, like, everyone has so much more ability and power than they think they do. I mean, every single person, like, I don't care who you are, like what condition, medical condition or anything, there is so much more power and ability within you than you could ever imagine. So that was like my biggest takeaway, is that we are all so much more powerful than we think we are. We all are so much more capable than we think we are. And yeah, it was a really amazing experience. And I guess finally I want to thank everyone. Like, I got so many people that messaged me, like super kind, encouraging things before and after the race. I just appreciate everyone so much. I don't think I've been able to run it with just like all the support of everyone, and I don't know, everyone having my back, cheering me on like that. It was just a wonderful experience from start to finish. The race was incredible. The people who ran the race are incredible. The entire experience was just so memorable. It was so worth it. So for now, I'm just gonna rest up. I have a stress fracture in my left shin. The like cramp that I thought I had was actually a stress fracture. It's getting better, but it's probably gonna take a few more days still. So I've just been like sitting on the couch, kind of collecting my brain and body. But yeah, great experience. Incredible, just everything. Very thankful for it, for everyone around me. Yeah, that's the race recap.